What's my favorite post-apocalyptic book? Let's find out. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Zach with Zacks Books, and today I've got my ranking of the top 4 post-apocalyptic books that I have read over 600 or 700 pages. I know it's like a bit of like an odd category because there's really not a lot that are like that. If I had to include, so let's say all, like in general, I'd have, you know, like I Am Legend, so everyone that comes to mind, but I don't want to include those because they're shorter. I want like big boys. Obviously, you know the Stand's going to be part of this, but like big ones. That was the main premise of what I wanted. So I know there are a few other ones that I have not read yet. I'll talk about those ones more towards the end. The 4 that I have read, we will link down below for you. Otherwise, also down there is the BookTube. No, not the BookTube. Bookstagram. This is the BookTube channel. Duh. Bookstagram, Danielle's channel, the podcast, all the other stuff is down below. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into my my rankings. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. All right. If you hear little coughs coming from me, I'm still getting over being sick, so apology in advance. So I have 4 post-apocalyptic books in front of me here that I have read over 6, I think maybe even 700 pages for these. Kind of depends on the edition that you read. So, whatever. I technically think I would have a 5th one, but I'm on the fence whether or not it is post-apocalyptic, because it's really not like an apocalyptic event that happens, but Sleeping Beauties by Stephen King and Owen King, it's not really post-apocalyptic. It's just this thing that happens to women in the world. So I'm not going to count that in this video. So I have 4. I'm going to rank them for you guys. And yeah, like I said, I got a few more I got to talk about at the end. But in 4th place, I have Wanderers by Chuck Wendig. So this book, this one was, I think I still ended up giving this 5 stars. It might have been 4. It was a really solid story. I thought it had good potential at the beginning, but where this one kind of fell flat for me was kind of the characters. And what I mean by that is there's some, you know, 1 or 2 really good characters, and then like the main people we followed. And then there were some that just seemed dull, and I really didn't enjoy like hearing their part of the story. Pretty much what happens to this is, I think her name is Shayna. Yeah, Shayna wakes up and discovers that her sister is basically sleepwalking. And she can't wake her up. Eventually, like, a neighbor, like, follows along. The dad tries to, like, help stop, you know, try and wake her up. And then more people kind of start joining this group of people sleepwalking. And it becomes this worldwide phenomena, whatever the term is, about these sleepwalkers in the world. And just like how it is with all 4 of these books, there's the group of good people and a group of bad people. So you've got the good people, which is like Shayna and all them, who are like, let's get the walkers to wherever they need to go, figure out what they're wanting to do, this and that. And you have another group of people who's like a war guy, like a retired war veteran or something like that. I don't remember which one it is. I think a radio host. I don't remember which one it is who's like the bad one. But they want to stop the sleepwalkers. They seem to think it's some like conspiracy or some like end of the world thing, and they want to just stop the walkers from moving. One of my favorite scenes is when a cop grabs one of the walkers, puts them in the back seat of the car, and the walker literally just like blows up. Like, it literally just explodes. And so that's when people are like, shit, we can't stop them from walking. Or they like basically like blow up for no reason at all. So there is a sequel to this book, and I will talk about that one later. But for me, this one just falls in 4th place, and it's not, you know, biased opinion with some of these other authors. It's just, like I said, some of the characters, there's a weird scene in this book that I mentioned during the video about oil as a lubricant. If you've read this book, I'm sure you know what I'm referring to. It's a very messed up, weird scene, And it was just very weird, and there's like some dream sequence with Shayna, and it didn't really hit for me. So overall, great story, but there are some little issues I have with it. So in fourth place, you've got Wanderers by Chuck Wendig. All right, in third place, we have got The Fireman by Joe Hill. So this is a very, very nice story. I really enjoyed this book. We're following this, I believe she's a nurse. There, she just works at a hospital, like is like a volunteer or something like that. Her name is Harper Grayson, and a dedicated nurse, so she's a nurse. Pretty much what happens is there's this disease that starts, I believe they end up calling it dragon scale. Yeah, dragon scale. And what happens is you get like these scars on your body, and eventually what happens is you basically combust. Like you just burn up and just die. And again, just like with pretty much all post-apocalyptic books, you have your good side and your bad side. There's parts of this book that I thoroughly enjoyed and parts of this book that I really disliked, just like with most of these ones. I ended up giving this one, I think, 5 stars as well. Like I said, it was a really solid story. It's on the bigger side. This one is about 700 something pages. There's like this myth, once this disease starts, there's this guy called the Fireman, and he wears a fireman's outfit. And pretty much what he does is he kind of is, I don't know, there's kind of like this lore around him because like he's got dragon scale and it's like really bad, but it doesn't affect him. Like he's like healthy, and like people are like trying to figure out like what's going on. A lot of people do have dragon scale and they are healthy, but like there's just like something about the Fireman that makes him more like unique. He's got like this special ability. He's got a power that he uses, and pretty much Harper's husband, kind of a dick. Harper is pregnant, and their concern is that because Harper had worked at a hospital and probably brought dragon scale home, the husband, I think his name is Jacob, is like, you're gonna give it to our son, and you know this and that, and they split up ways. She goes to some camp, and one of the dumbest things that happens in the camp is a form of like punishment. They like make you put a rock in your mouth for like a few hours. It was one of the weirdest things I read in this book, and it was really stupid. There was the leader of that group. I just hated the heck out of her, and she just sucked. I don't even remember her name, but I just remember vividly hating her nonstop. Otherwise, I really enjoyed it, and the story was great, and it kept going and going, and there was really no like part where I was like, wow, this is just getting really dull. Definitely would highly recommend this one. Yeah, not much else to really say. There you have The Fireman by Joe Hill. All right, top 2 territory. This is, out of all like the rankings I've done, I feel like this is probably one of the hardest decisions I have. And before I do say what is number 2, a disclaimer I will say is I have read one of these twice and the other one only once. And if I go based off of just first time experience with the book, that is the ranking I'm going with. Once I read the other one twice, you know, it's probably going to change. I mean, these are very interchangeable books for me because both of them are just absolutely phenomenal. For sake of ranking correctly, in second place, I have got The Stand by Stephen King. I can already hear people saying, you're not a true King fan if he's not number 1. How can you put him at number 2? Well, the first go around with this book was very confusing for me. And I'm going to be the first one to admit it. There were way too many people, way too much stuff going on, and I really did not get into it all that well. I think I actually gave this 4 stars the first time I read the book. So the second time around was phenomenal. I had seen the miniseries with Gary Sinise and all those people in the 90s, so I was able to put more faces to names and be better with the story. You can ask Danielle. That's one of the things I have a problem with, and she has told me she has a problem with, is if there's way too many characters in a book and there's way too many things to follow. And I know it's as simple as, we'll just pay better attention. Well, that's not always the case. And the first go around I had with this, it was very confusing. A lot of things were going on. So that's why it's not number 1. Second go around, this book was just great. If you know my channel, you know that this book is synonymous for being one of King's best books that he's ever written. This is the uncut edition. There is a cut version. There's actually 3 editions of this book. There's the cut edition that he had in the 70s. There's a paperback edition that came out between that one and this one that King actually made some updates on. And then there was the complete and uncut edition. So there's 3 different versions technically of this story. And I've only read this one. The other ones don't have a type of audio book, so I don't have those ones. And the only real difference is like he updates like current events, because the first one he wrote, it was like 78 or 79 or something like that. This one came out in 1990, so he had some updates to the book that he actually did while he was putting the stuff back into this book. That's besides the point. This story is phenomenal. A plague hits the entire world named Captain Trips. Pretty much, you get this disease, you just die. Like, you get sick, you're dead. There's no cure. There's no time for a cure. That's how fast this thing happens. And with this plague comes a man known as the Dark Man, known as Randall Flagg. This guy is a pure badass. And pretty much, I mean, he basically is like the plague. So again, just like I keep saying with the other 2 books and what I'm going to say with this last one, good versus evil and the world is split up. Randall Flagg and his group of people in Las Vegas are the bad guys. And then on the other side, we have the good guys with Mother Abigail. So it's kind of like a book of, like, you know, the devil versus God and stuff like that. And it's a very, very good book. And I really, really liked it. The second go around was 100 times better than the first, like I said. But, I mean, all in all, this giant, it's like 1,200 pages. It's totally worth it. It's long, but it really, at the end of the day, when you think about it, it really needs to be, because he's basically making an entire world, basically paints the picture of a world, crumbles it down, and people need to rebuild it. And it's great, and I absolutely loved it. Not much else I can say about it. It's Stephen King, it's The Stand, you know? So, in second place, The Stand by Stephen King. Alright, here it is. My all-time favorite post-apocalyptic book is Swan Song. This book is very good. It is, and this is why it's number 1, because I liked it the first go around, because I had learned from my mistakes with The Stand. This is a very good book. A lot of characters in this book. Again, the usual good versus evil. There's this little girl named Swan. Basically, the entire, like, United States gets nuked and everything gets destroyed. There's like a war. It's all this bad stuff happens. But what happens when all the nukes go off is basically all life is just taken away. There's like no plants. There's like everything is just crap. It's bad. Like, resources are scarce. You have all these people in the United States kind of going against each other, and I mean, I guess it's the world, because everyone was pretty much involved, but obviously it's, mainly takes place in the United States. Again, we have a bunch of survivors. There's Swan and Josh Hutchins, I think is his name. It's either Josh Hutchins or Hutchinson. I want to say it's Hutchins. I just watched the 5 Nights at Freddy's movie, and I think the one actor's name is Hutchinson. Josh is by far probably one of my favorite characters of all time. He's this really big black wrestler, and he basically takes care of Swan to make sure that she is okay, because there's this prophecy that she is like, he gets told in a dream, like, you have to protect her. Like, you have to protect Swan. And after the nuclear blowout happens, these people, kind of like with the Fireman, have like these legions on their face, and it's ugly, it's hideous. Towards the end, the people shed them off, and it's what happens near the end of this book between Swan and Josh while they're being attacked is literally what pushes Josh to be my all-time favorite character. Basically, the bad people come to invade this place that has resources because they want resources, and they want the girl because Swan has this ability to make things grow. Like, she can, save trees and, you know, plants and everything like that. And the evil government person who survives, I can't think of his name, basically wants Swan. And the man with the scarlet eye is like basically this book's Randall Flagg. And it's such a good story. And like I said, it's Josh Hutchins is literally like the GOAT, dude. If you've read this book, you know that Josh is literally the GOAT. Like, they're literally in a fight near the end of the book. Josh is like out because of like the sickness, and then all of a sudden just boom. Like, I can't say more than that because that would spoil the book, but it literally is like reading that scene, I was like literally expecting the worst, and then all of a sudden boom, and I was like, oh, awesome. But yes, I definitely want to reread this book, but I don't know when that time will be. So my all-time favorite post-apocalyptic book is Swan Song. Alright, so like I mentioned earlier, there are a couple big books that I have not read that are post-apocalyptic as far as I'm aware. The Passage by Justin Cronin, I think is his name. That book, I don't think it's over 600 pages. It might be around 600 pages. You know, I might have a leniency if it's, you know, whatever. But that's a book a lot of people thoroughly have enjoyed and have recommended to me. The other one is Wayward, which is the sequel to Wanderers. I'm going to guess, because the first book was post-apocalyptic, the second book, it's still that same kind of scenario, because I don't think the world got back on track after the first book. So I'm going to consider that a post-apocalyptic book as well. If I'm really nitpicking it, Wanderers and Sleeping Beauties are kind of the same thing, because there's no like all-out war that ends the world. So, you know, it's touchy, but whatever. Maverick's crying, so I'm going to end the video. If you guys like this video, give it a like. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you have any other post-apocalyptic books that are over 500 pages. That's the key, 500 pages. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next video. Later.